Um, and this will be recorded. Welcome to our voting workshop for specifically for self-advocates. This this is geared towards people with autism, intellectual and developmental disability and other disabilities. So welcome to our workshop. We're going to get started right now. And we have Robin Troutman from the National Association of Councils on Developmental Disabilities. And I am Kim Mushino, Vice President of Public Policy at the Autism Society of America. NACDD and the Autism Society have been doing a series of workshops over the past few years, specifically geared towards self-advocates. And we thought it would be timely to do a voting workshop since we have a big election coming up in November. And we have a great panel for you today. We're going to start with a really short video of individuals with disabilities speaking about voting. This will be followed by a panel of self-advocates talking about different questions, answering different questions about voting. And then we will have Denise Resnik talk about a Vote on the Spectrum, which is a campaign that encourages people to get out and vote. Robin, do you have anything to add to that?
No, just wanted to say hi, everyone. As Kim said, my name is Robin Troutman. I'm the Deputy Director for the National Association of Councils on Developmental Disabilities. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a white middle-aged woman with glasses, and I'm wearing a black top. And we're so excited to have you all today. We're going to hear from some great advocates doing really important work to ensure that people with disabilities, and especially intellectual and developmental disabilities and neurotypical disabilities, are able to have access to the polls. And in case you didn't know, today is National Voter Registration Day. So before we even get started, we want everyone to make sure you check your voter registration, make sure your information is up to date, and then let's make a plan. And with that, I guess we'll show our first video.
Mother to a neurodivergent young adult who is unable to vote himself, and I am a registered voter.
I'm a proud registered voter.
I'm Sammy's younger sister, and I am a registered voter.
I am a registered voter and the mother of Sammy.
I am a registered voter.
And the last time I voted was in 2020.
I believe it's really urgent matter for the neurodiverse and other diverse communities to engage in the voting matter.
I believe what I say does matter and makes a difference.
It's important for my voice to be heard because my special needs community has the power to say something, and we could be role models for other people.
I feel like I am making my voice be heard. I feel like I'm voting for what I think is important and also doubling down because it's also Sammy's vote. Sammy doesn't have a vote of his own. So my vote is even more important to improve the quality of life and his future.
When I research who I'm voting for, and I know those people care about issues that matter to me, I know my vote has a space.
In Vote the Spectrum, the effort is to get at least 10,000 people who support someone who's neurodiverse, or if you are yourself neurodiverse, involved in this process. And 10,000 votes can change an election. Your voice does matter, and it's important that all perspectives are represented so that people like my brother receive the support that they need.
Vote the Spectrum means to me a community getting together to be heard and to stand up for what is important to them.
An initiative like Vote the Spectrum gives my son a space to know that people like me, people like you, are out there trying to make sure that he has a voice that neurodivergent individuals that are going to have to face the barriers today and tomorrow have people out there fighting for their rights to have a place in this world.
Don't let the opportunity pass you up.
Consider people who are neurodiverse when casting your vote.
We have the power in our hands. Like, we're like the deciders.
My name is David Biederman.
My name is Diana Diaz.
My name is Sophia Holland.
My name is Lauren Heimerdinger.
My name is Lincoln Ragsdale.
My name is Amanda Steele.
And I vote the spectrum.
You can sell this $5 spatula.
I love that, Denise. Thank you. And I forgot to give my visual description. Again, Kim Mushino. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a white middle-aged woman with short brown hair and glasses. And I'm going to hand it back to Robin for introductions.
Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you again for that great video. As a reminder, all votes matter and all elections matter. So we hope everyone is making a plan to vote. I am excited to now introduce our first panel or our panel of advocates. Today, we will be hearing from Tyson Bedford, who is a council member and on the executive committee of the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities. Tyson is a 2019 graduate of Class 2 of the Illinois Partners in Policymaking. He is also a financial wellness trainer with the National Disability Institute and co-chair for Dignity and Pay Work Group alongside Illinois DD Council Executive Director Kimberly Mercer-Schlader. Also joining us is Sam Branson. He is a member of the Council of Autistic Advisors at the Autism Society of America. Sam completed his PhD in physics at Duke University with a focus on quantum information theory. Wow. I'll never understand that, but more power to you, Sam. Sam currently works for the Duke Autism Center and collaborates with research teams at Northwestern University and UCLA on a variety of research projects and initiatives focused on autistic quality of life and is committed to ongoing learning. Sam is autistic himself and also has a child with autism and developmental disabilities. And we'd like to also welcome Kelly Israel. Kelly is the National Disability Rights Network Voting Accessibility Organizer. Kelly coordinates the work of the National Coalition of Accessible Voting, which a number of groups are a part of, including the National Association of Councils on Developmental Disabilities, and we work to maintain and expand voting access for people with disabilities. As an autistic person, Kelly brings unique lived experience to the role. Kelly previously worked as a policy analyst for the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, and she has worked for other public interest organizations on the death penalty and on guardianship in the United States. Kelly is an attorney and graduate of American University, Washington College of Law. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We're so thrilled to have such an esteemed panel. So we're going to go ahead and get started. My first question is to you, Sam. In order to be able to vote, we all have to register. How did you go about registering to vote?
Yeah, good question. So I live in North Carolina and I registered to vote online. And then when we moved, I updated my address online as well. But there are other ways that people can register in North Carolina. So you can register when you're applying for your driver's license or register through mail. And the registration forms are usually pretty quick. They'll just ask you a few basic questions and then you'll be registered.
Great, thank you. And just as a note for some, you can also go to vote.gov, which is run by the federal government, and that will take you to your state specifically on where else you can register. So thank you for that, Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Also, the Autism Society's Election Center also has all the information about where to register, where to vote, and who's running for office. And all you need to do is enter your address, and it brings up all that information. So my question is for Tyson. Tyson, I know that you're planning to vote because we talked about it a little bit, but can you tell me what do you do to figure out how to decide for whom you want to vote? How do you make these decisions about who you're going to select on that day?
Right. So I don't have as much information on a lot of people who are going to be on certain ballots, especially on local and state level. The federal stuff is much more widely available to the public, of course. So I basically have to DIY my own research on every candidate on every election cycle, which is it's time consuming. It's a chore and a half, but it is absolutely worth it in order to find the candidate that you at the very least believe will do right by your vote.
That's great. So then what about people for running for those state and local offices, or people like the judges and school boards? Where do you turn to get the information about who you want to vote for?
It's uh a similar strategy, but thankfully my the town that I grew up in and still live in right now actually is small enough for basically everybody to know everybody there. So usually I have family that know people who would potentially be on ballots. So if there's somebody that they believe would be a good vote uh, for a subject or topic that um, I'm especially paying attention to, then they usually go to me for that. So yeah,
Great.
there's plenty of options despite all that information not readily available to me.
Yeah, one of the things that I have done, the same thing as you, if I don't know all of the candidates, I sometimes go to people that might have done, might know them personally. Also, the League of Women Voters provides a sample ballot with biographies, and sometimes I use that as a guide to make that decision. But those are good ideas, and also you don't have to vote for everyone. For example, if you don't know, you can leave them blank. You don't have to fill in every dot.
Yeah, though, yeah, those are definitely good ideas. And it is funny that you do say that because I also use a sample ballot. Um, I usually take it to where the polling place might be, just to get myself prepared on who I would like to vote for. Um, Especially recently, there are some elements to visiting a polling place that will make you pretty nervous and will probably make you forget who you're wanting to vote for in the first place. So yeah, a sample ballot is definitely a good way to remind yourself of who you want to vote for and hopefully to not be as nervous so that you end up forgetting your selections in the first place.
Yep, and you're definitely allowed to take your notes in with you. And that reminds me, when you're going to the polling place, sometimes there are people outside trying to get you to vote for them or for their preferred candidate, and you could talk to them if you want, but you also don't have to. You can just go right by them and say, I've already made my decision. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Robin.
Thanks, Kim, and thanks, Tyson. Also, just a reminder, you can also go to your local library. They will also have sample ballots, since a lot of times the library is also a polling place and the librarians are able to provide that information without necessarily picking or influencing a side or the other. The next question is for Kelly. Kelly, I know you've been working on making sure people understand their right to vote. Can you talk about some of the laws that apply to people with disabilities, such as the ADA and the Voting Rights Act? And we'd love to hear more about what you're doing with the National Coalition on Accessible Voting.
Yeah, absolutely, Robin. I don't want this to be too high level, so I'll try and keep it simple. The very first law that you're going to be thinking of that applies to voting is going to be the Americans with Disabilities Act. Some of you might know that one. The ADA's got sections called titles, and the part that we care about here is Title II, which applies to state and local governments. They're the people that run elections. Remember that. So first off, elections are absolutely covered by the ADA, meaning the ADA applies to them, and so are all parts of how you vote, including voter registration, polling place site selection, and polling places themselves. It also doesn't matter whether you send in your vote by mail, in person, or if you use the early voting process. And it doesn't matter whether it's an election for the whole United States government, an election for a state, or an election just in your local city or town. The ADA covers that. Anyway, the ADA applies to voter registration, and all elections have to be run in a way that's free of discrimination. So all aspects of voter registration have to be accessible, including if you register online through a state, county, or city website. The ADA also applies to polling places, so all polling places have to be accessible, as do all other in-person voting options. The Department of Justice and various other arms of the government actually put out ADA checklists specific to polling places and several other related documents, so that if you want to get a look at what the ADA has to do, you can check online. The ADA requires elections officials to communicate and be clear when they're talking to you too. They have to be able to talk to you in the way that you talk. You have to be able to understand them, and they have to give you understandable information on elections, which extends to election websites. But the ADA isn't the only major voting rights law that impacts your right to vote. Another big one is the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Now, there's part of this law called Section 208 of the Voting Rights Act that gives every single person the right to get help with voting from the person of their choice, so long as the person who helps you doesn't employ you and isn't an agent of your union. It's kind of hard to explain what a union is, but I'm actually going to be putting out a guide on this later. The ADA comes in through the back end to say that even if you need help in order to vote, your state and local governments have to let you get that help, no matter what. There's been a lot of contention about this, so always check your state's law before you vote and vote with confidence. Finally, along with the major laws, there are a lot of minor laws. There's the Help America Vote Act of 2002. That covers a lot of different stuff. The big one is that you have to be able to vote privately and independently. What that means is you have to be able to vote in a way so that, like, a poll worker can't see what you're voting for, and the only people who see your choice are the people you invite in. The other one is voting machines. So when you go to a polling place, you're going to see voting machines. One of these voting machines, because of the Help America Vote Act, has to be accessible. That means that people with disabilities have to be able to use it. Now, HAVA's coverage is broad. Those voting machines have to allow you to vote to the same extent and just as effectively as anyone without a disability. So that about covers the basic laws that apply. I tried to keep it really, really simple, but it's a little tricky with my language. So please, Kim and
There'll be an opportunity for them to ask you questions at the end.
yeah,
But that
please.
was a fantastic overview. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Yeah, but please, Kim, feel free to send around my contact information if you're really confused, and I'll do my best to try and break it down so anybody can understand.
Well, that's great of you to offer. We will definitely do that. So I know here in Maryland, where I live, when I go to my polling place, I don't even have to take my any license or any other kind of personal identification. But Sam, is that the case for you? What kind of personal identification is required to vote in North Carolina?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as you noted, the laws for voting ID can depend on what state you're in, and there is a website called canivote.org that can give you information that's specific to your state. So in North Carolina, one of the most common forms of ID, and what I use personally, is the driver's license. But you don't need a driver's license to vote. There's actually quite a few different alternatives you can use. You can get a state ID card for free from the DMV, and that can be used to vote. Other types of identification could be a passport or passport card. There's certain types of student or employer IDs that are approved. You'd want to check online to make sure that the type of ID you have is matches what's approved by the North Carolina State Board of Elections, and a few other types of identification as well. And it's also worth noting that you can always get an ID from your county board of elections as well. At least there's some exceptions close to election day, but in general, if you go to your county elections office and give them your name and date of birth and the last 4 digits of your social security number, you can get an ID, often on the spot right there. And there are also organizations that can help you if you are confused about what type of ID you need. Some organizations will even provide a free ride to you to get to the DMV. So there's quite a lot of support out there.
And by DMV, you mean Department of Motor Vehicle.
Yes, thank you for, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't define that, but yes,
That's okay. Thanks. That's a lot of great information, Sam. We appreciate it. And Kelly, you talked a lot about some of the laws related to voting. And along those lines, how do guardianship laws impact voting?
Well, guardianship, I admit, it's kind of complicated. It differs from state to state. So you've got some states with laws that on the books that straight up bar people from voting based on guardianship, which, according to the Department of Justice, actually conflicts with the ADA to a degree. But the fact is, those laws are still on the books. There are other places and other state laws which have it so that you only lose the ability to vote with the guardian if a court straight up said so. That's actually the majority of state laws, from what I understand. It's really important that you consult your specific state's laws or seek legal advice to understand if you are under guardianship, how guardianship might impact your voting rights. But there is a bit of good news. If you are under guardianship, you can't be categorically disqualified unless there is a specific state law on the topic. So if your state says nothing, then it doesn't matter if you have a guardianship, you'll probably be able to vote. As well, a state can't make you take a higher standard of a test when it comes to determining whether or not you can vote. But so that means that they can't make you take a test that's harder than the test everyone else has to take, or in order to prevent you from voting. They can't hold you to a higher standard. That said, you really do need to check state by state what your state's laws are on guardianship. The Autistic Self-Advocacy Network has actually got a guide to voting, which straight up lists what the status is for each state law. So you can check through that list and find out what your state says when it comes to guardianship and voting, even though the Department of Justice has said that some of those laws might be wonky. If that makes sense.
Thanks, Kelly. And we'll put that link to that resource in the chat in just a bit. Sam, you mentioned just a moment ago about transportation. And so as you know, and most people know, transportation is one of the biggest obstacles for people with disabilities, whether you're going to the polls or to the grocery store. So what is your plan, Sam, to physically get to your polling place? Are you a driver? Are you a walker? Like, how is it best? And then where else can people go, and what is the best way to figure out, how to vote?
Yeah, so I'm planning to drive to the polls. I might actually bring a friend along as well. I think scheduling to vote with a friend is a good way for both of you to get it on your calendar and remember to vote and stay motivated. But as you noted, people can have different ways to get to the polls. Someone might take a bus, someone might walk, um, someone might vote through mail. So however you plan to vote, it's a good idea to make a plan in advance. Maybe figure out which voting location you'll go to, what time of day you want to vote, and how to get there. And again, most states will have quite a few organizations that are eager to help you vote. So in North Carolina, the State Board of Elections contains information about accessible voting sites, and there's also Disability Rights North Carolina that can provide quite a few different types of assistance, and I believe that even includes scheduled rides to the polls as well.
Thanks so much, Sam. Kelly, we kind of touched on this, just as each state has a different guardianship, rules. We're guessing that every state has different ways to vote. Are mail-in ballots allowed? Do states have mail-in ballot? Like, tell us about how people can vote early, and then, what they should do to ensure that they understand what their state does.
Okay, so first off, voting laws differ a lot from state to state, not just one way. First off, 13 states allow you to send your ballot over the internet if you're a person with a disability, but that's only 13 of them, and most other states don't allow you to do this. Some of them allow you to get the ballot over the internet, but you have to send it by mail. Then mail-in ballots work differently in every state too. Some states are excuse states. Let me see if I can try and explain this. It means you have to give a reason that you need a mail ballot in order to get a mail ballot, and you have to put in an application to get one. You have to send a document which says, I need a mail ballot because of a disability. And in the excuse states, they'll usually give you one because disability is almost always a valid excuse. Then there are some states that are no excuse states. That means you send in a form, they'll give the ballot to anybody who asks. So in a no excuse state, you can get a mail-in ballot wherever or whyever. There are even some states that are all mail voting. That means everybody gets a mail ballot in that state, and there are fewer places where you can vote in person. Every single state has different deadlines and rules about this, so say it with me, check your state's laws. Some states have ballot drop boxes. That's these weird little boxes where you can show up in person, you can drop your mail ballot in them, and it'll be counted before election day. Some states don't have ballot drop boxes, so you can't use those, as far as I know. Maybe all of them do, but I don't think so. Some precincts offer something called curbside voting. This means that you can call poll workers when you're outside the polling place, and they'll come out and help you vote. Some locations don't have this. So even when you're at the polling place, voting on the machines is also going to look different state by state. Then there's early voting. Lots of states, in fact, most of them, allow you to vote before election day, but every single state has slightly different rules for when and how you can do this. Some states let you do it 2 days before election day, others give you a much longer period. So I guess the thing I'm going to say here is always check your state's laws in advance if you can. Try and find plain language resources. There's not a lot, but every state has got different rules for what kind of voting you can do and how you have to do it.
Thanks. That's very true. I think the theme for sure is check your state, check your voter registration. We've seen just since the 2016 election and 2020 election, even more so, how many states changed their voting rules, especially around early voting and ballot boxes. So even if you voted one way at the 2020 election, or even an election in 22, or even last year, things might have changed that you just may not have heard about. So as Kelly said, check your state voting rules, and especially where your polling place is. Kelly, another question for you. What kind of accommodations can people expect? And what if somebody has a service animal or an emotional support animal? What are the rights related to those issues?
Okay, so first off, the US Department of Justice, at least, has said that they have to let you bring a service animal. Like, if your animal qualifies as a service animal, they have to let the service animal in. An emotional support animal may not qualify as a service animal, and if that's the case, you probably can't bring them into the polls. The rules are always around service animals. With that said, you can bring your own accommodations to the polls all over the place. You can bring headphones, stuffed animals, fidget gadgets, you name it. If you need it to vote, you can probably bring it in there as long as it's not an emotional support dog. You can also bring along anybody you need to have help you vote. Now, when you're actually physically at the polling place itself is going to have accessibility features built in. Let me see if I can explain this. There will be accessible parking places. If the building's 2 floors, there's going to be some way for people in wheelchairs to get up to the 2nd floor. You're going to have signs which hopefully will be accessible and understandable, because if they're not, people are going to raise hell about it. The lines will generally allow people in wheelchairs to stay in the line. So most accessibility features that you see are going to be built in if you vote in person. Your poll workers are also going to be trained, albeit kind of badly, on how to talk to people with disabilities. Your average accessible voting machine is also going to have accessibility features built in. So we're talking headphones, read aloud functions, and more than one way to put in your vote. Like, if you don't have use of your hands, there's probably some way to use that machine that doesn't require it, or at least makes it easier. But I can't say for sure, for the pretty simple reason that every polling place I've ever seen has slightly different accessible voting machines. So I guess the short version of an answer to this question is that you can bring your own accommodations, and there will be a few that's built into practically every polling place.
Thanks again, Kelly. And as a reminder to check your polling place and make sure that before you even arrive, that it is a place that you'll be able to get into the door if you use a mobility device, or that they actually do have parking, available. And I just, so thank you for that. And we want to make sure everybody thinks about, doing mail-in options if it's available in your state, looking at early voting. But really the important thing is, as Kelly has let us know multiple times, reminded us, every state is different, and the state by state rules are included in the Autism Society Election Center, or you can go to your state Secretary of State for each state's page, or as Sam mentioned, the Board of Elections. Thank you so much to this panel. And before, we move to the next piece, I'd love to hear from each one of you just one last message that you would have to say to any new or potential voter, or even a voter that is, someone that is seasoned voter. What is your one message to them? And Tyson, I'd love to hear from you first.
Thank you, Robin. If there's one thing that I've learned from experiencing the voting, your vote absolutely does matter. I have witnessed too many elections that have been decided by people who say otherwise, uh and choose not to vote, or to vote out of spite of, you know, uh general knowledge, I guess. But your vote absolutely does matter in the long run. Even if it's just one voice out of, you know, tens of millions of Americans, that that vote might be the vote that tips the scale of your person's favor.
Great. Thanks, Tyson. Sam?
Yeah, I would just echo what Tyson says about how important voting is and how much it does matter. I believe I should have written this down before I joined this call, but I believe it was a vote in Virginia fairly recently where it was tied and they had to draw the result out of draw a paper out of a bowl to decide who won the election. And
Yep.
there's probably people who thought their vote wouldn't matter and stayed home, and they could have been the tiebreaker for that election. And even if you're in a state you're like, where you're pretty sure that your vote won't be able to sway the election result, it still might impact future elections down the road. So it always matters.
And I think I know what, Kelly, your message might be, but just in case I'm wrong, Kelly, what is your one last message to those on the call?
Twofold. One, your local precinct or like voting area where your polling place is, those are going to have slightly different rules and accommodations from polling place to polling place too, so best to check in advance. But other than that, I want to say this. As much as I am going on about the capricious and often really confusing rules of voting and how different they are from location to location, this is all about ensuring that you can vote with confidence. Your vote really does matter. I want to echo Tyson and Sam emphatically, intensely. Like, what you do in the polling place could be the difference between having the policies you want out there and policies that you absolutely hate. So show up, vote for who you want to vote for, and go at it with strength and confidence. Don't see the confusion as a reason not to vote. Understand how important it is. So be prepared, vote smart, but always vote with confidence.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. We do have some time for some questions if anybody would like to ask our panelists a question. You're welcome to also put it in the chat if you're not interested in speaking. We totally understand that as well. And you can also, if you're not ready to answer your question now, we will definitely have time after this next piece if you would like to wait, but we do have this opportunity now. All right, well, we'll continue, and I'll just add on that make a plan, check your registration, make sure you're registered, make sure you know where your polling place is, make sure you understand what's on your ballot, as Tyson noted and Kim noted, and make sure you know how you're getting to your polling place. As Sam said, bring a friend, or ask a friend, when are you going? I'm going there too, let's go together. And as Kelly said, double check everything, but be confident in what you're voting for and who you're voting for, because it does matter. And that all votes matter because all elections matter. And so we hope to see you all at the polls, whether it's early or if it's in November. But it's a really important election, as all elections are important. But we hope that everyone votes with confidence. So thank you, and I'll give it back to Kim.
Yeah, and I would like to add one more thing, and that is that just to be wary that there is a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there. So it's important to check, make sure that your resources are good, and to check multiple resources when you are looking for whom are going to represent your interests. And now I'd like to turn it over to Denise Resnik. Denise is the founder and president of First Place Arizona, co-founder of the Southwest Autism Research and Resource Center, and founder and CEO of DRA Collective, a marketing and communications firm serving clients in real estate, economic development, healthcare, education, and hospitality. Denise serves on a number of boards and advisory committees, including having served on the Interagency Autism Coordinating Committee at the National Institutes of Health. She also served on the Autism Society's marketing task force and proudly contributing to the organization's new brand. And thank you for that, Denise. Her family and adult son, Matt, who has autism, and others living with disabilities inspire her work. And today she's going to talk about another initiative that she leads, Vote on the Spectrum. The first video you saw today was produced by Vote on the Spectrum campaign, envisioned by Denise. And then she'll end with another short, inspiring video. And this will be followed by additional time, hopefully, for questions and answers. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Denise. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I am 63 years old. I have gray hair. I'm wearing red glasses today and a red shirt. I go by she, her pronouns, and I am the proud mother of a 33-year-old son living with autism at the property you see in the screen, First Place Phoenix. First Place Phoenix was developed by our charitable nonprofit, First Place AZ, which has also created the First Place Global Leadership Institute to make sure that as a charitable nonprofit, we do what you just heard. We get to the ballot box on issues that are important to us, on housing and employment and healthcare and education, and make sure that together we're creating more inclusive, accessible cities and communities everywhere. So as a charitable nonprofit, this is our space of registering, educating, and helping people participate in voting. We'll share a little bit more about that in terms of the Voter Registration Act of 1993. We'll talk about Vote the Spectrum, which is our way that we're contributing to making sure that people do get to the polls. And we come to you from the state of Arizona, where we embrace mail-in ballots. And we also appreciate the challenges and how our county, Maricopa County specifically, is creating all kinds of accommodations. But it's important to make sure people know what those are. And we'll talk a little bit more about how we're igniting our community through Spark the Spectrum. And we're thrilled to be joining you today. When we talk about creating a more perfect union, that means we need to contribute. And when we talk about the spectrum, think about spectrum of autism, spectrum of disabilities, and that spectrum between red and blue, when we look at that in the middle and we get it right for everyone. Who among us without mobility issues hasn't benefited from the ADA's curb cuts? There's so much that we do in our space that benefits all of the community. We launched this initiative late last year in collaboration with our Secretary of State's office, and we created a unique URL. Our website now carries a URL where state by state people can go directly to their Secretary of State's office to register to vote. We are updating our collateral right now and including the ASA's voter guide in English and in Spanish, along with the ARCs, recognizing that when we talk about autism and we talk about the greater autistic or the greater disability community, there is power in numbers. So no matter who is elected, that they make sure that they have our backs. We have a number of print and digital ads and collateral that are available to you on our website. And I'll ask my colleague Kyle to make sure that that URL is included in the link. These are individuals with autism, their family members, my greatest independent living skill, voting. He was a former resident at First Place, and his mom, autism will not stop my child from voting. It will inform his vote. This is about empowerment. This is about reaching more broadly with our friends from the Down syndrome community and the community of people with vision and hearing loss, and to make sure that we see the world differently and help others do the same. This is not only about individuals who have the opportunity to register because of guardianship issues as interpreted by their states or not, but it's also about their family members and those educators and those early interventionists and those colleagues at work and the people that we worship with and the people in our community that have our backs, and making sure that we get out this word of vote the spectrum so that we're working together to make sure that we cover our bases and that we get more people engaged in the voting process. We have water bottle stickers, we have bookmarks. If these things are of interest to you, and if you are wanting to be one of our champions, please let us know, because we want to send these stickers your way. They work beautifully. We also have shirts for our champions. And we recognize that there's something everyone can do. And there's a lot coming at us today, not only with these elections, but with our everyday. And so we asked just yesterday in our third Spark the Spectrum event for people to make one personal commitment. And we're asking that of you, to make one personal commitment to support a healthy, inclusive democracy. The fact that you're here, you've already made that commitment. And share that disability voter guide and what ASA has created or the ARC has created with 5 potential voters. And to text that voter registration link. In this case, we said to 10 Arizonans, but to 10 people you know in your community, in your state. And you can share some of our messaging on Instagram and LinkedIn. We have generated local and national press, and there's a lot more where this came from, including last week's Forbes article. You can access this if you open your camera and download that QR code. You can also access it on our website. And this is a wonderful way for you and your communities to make sure that those policymakers, those people who are running for office, understand that we have a voice and we are going to exercise that voice and our superpower. Now, here in Arizona, we understand too that, well, actually, these are national dates, but today, obviously, voter registration day. Our voter registration deadline is October 7. And then, of course, November 5th being Election Day. And so we're asking you to download the toolkit, which you can find on our website, to involve people you work with, people you know, people you love, and to set a goal for yourself, 1, 5, 10, or make it 100. Engage your database. I checked many of you out. You have a great following, and I understand why, and you can make a difference. And you said it earlier in that panel about our elections being closer today than they've ever been in over a century. Here in Arizona, one of our primaries was won by a candidate just a few hundred votes apart. And the presidential election in Arizona, one of our swing states, was decided last year by a mere 10,000 votes. We can make a difference. You can make a difference. And that's what we're asking you to do, is to join the movement, to be part of something bigger than yourself, bigger than ourselves. Vote the Spectrum is a product of the First Place Global Leadership Institute. It is all about helping our local leaders, our local stakeholders, exercise those voices, exercise their power, exercise what's needed, and make sure that it happens. Housing, healthcare, education, employment, things that matter. We're looking for those cognitive curb cuts for today. We're looking for those things that make it not only more accessible for our population, for people we love and people we are with autism, but for the broader community. And that's what we can contribute to a healthy democracy. And with that, I'm going to close by sharing this next video, Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit.
What makes a healthy community are the members of that community.
We want to make sure that every individual's voice is heard and that every individual has an opportunity to participate.
And we do that by voting. We need to vote.
So many of the most important decisions on issues from employment to accessibility happen at the ballot. And a big part of that is building community that wants to shape the future of Arizona, to make sure that the voices of those who live on the spectrum every day and those with disabilities
have access to effective services and an inclusive, supportive community.
As a voter with a disability, we have the right to have full access to the electoral process, know what's on the ballot, and know what candidates are supporting the causes that you believe in.
There are so many different ways for people in our community to participate in elections
And be a vital part of our community.
As a person with autism, I'm already registered to vote because I want my needs met when I vote for the election. And I want to see everyone that has autism have their needs met.
There are so many people that can be affected by your vote.
Those who need quality housing, those who need a better life, education, healthcare, access to transportation.
Taking part in our democratic process will ensure these talented individuals
voices and life aspirations will be heard by all.
This electoral season, let's show this United States that Arizona is a true leader in accessibility and make sure everyone has a voice.
Get educated, get active, be involved.
And this was produced with the support of leaders from the public sector, from the private sector, from the charitable nonprofit sector, from foundations, from leaders in our community. And we challenge you to think about who you could contact in your community. We see this as a campaign and an initiative, not just for this important election year, but for, whoops, sorry. Sorry about that.
Pre-ordered iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence at
But for all election years. And so with that, Kim and Robin, thank you so much for allowing us to present today and be part of this remarkable group.
That is really an incredible campaign. It's just really amazing that you put all that together, and we appreciate you taking the time to share it with us. And so with that, I would love for the opportunity for people to ask you questions and also the rest of the panel. And you can either just speak up by taking yourself off of mute. You can put a question in the chat, or you can email us later. If people want some of those stickers and bumper stickers and or a t-shirt, where do they reach out to?
Right now. I'm putting that in the chat right now. As a matter of fact, Rochelle had already reached out. So absolutely, we would love to mail you stickers to distribute. And as I mentioned, we are, because of you, updating our website right now. So thank you very much.
Great.
And there are many other films there that don't mention Arizona that we hope you share, but we understood that we were limited on how many films we could share today. But please know that there are many more where those came from.
And can anybody take that and put them on, share them in any which way they want? Can they put them on their website, for example?
So as long as again, we have to be careful of the nonpartisan aspect, and we make sure that we stay in that space, which is important to us all as a charitable nonprofit. But the individual art, the films, absolutely, please post, please push those out. And when people land on our website, they'll get the rest of the information.
Oh, thanks, Sam. Sam noted that Rochelle has her hand raised.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Rochelle Chappie. I'm the executive director for the Autism Society, it's a mouthful, of Southeastern Wisconsin. Okay. So we have a very robust adults on the spectrum group. And we always let them tell us what topics and what things we want to cover. We meet 4 Wednesdays a month, the first through fourth Wednesday of the month. And advocacy work was actually number 5 out of our in-person group of 35. So we have been trying to figure out how to provide support. We've actually asked the Board for People of Developmental Disabilities to maybe come in. We have a variety of experience and understanding levels. Is there anything you would recommend that we use? And I will be honest, when we talk about getting out and voting, that sometimes leads to some conversations in our adult on the spectrum group that can be fairly feisty. And as a moderator, it can make me stress sometimes. But I'd like what you did and how you all broke this down today. It was just phenomenal. I think, is there anything out there that you would recommend that we have an advocacy night coming up, and it really needs to start with this type of education. And we're going to be showing your videos all over the place. Seeing those today, I love that. But is there a place or a resource you would, knowing that we have a variety of understanding levels, that I could maybe share with our adults on the spectrum 35-person in-person group?
Well, we tried to share some resources here in terms of voting. The Autism Society developed a voting guide specific to those on the spectrum in plain language. and we tried to make it pretty short and concise. And then we have the election center because then you could just put all you have to know is your address. And then you can find all the information in your state, because as this panel showed, it can sound a little confusing if you talk about how every state is different. But if you just stick to, the plain language voting guide and then use the election center, that can take you straight to your state information.
And is there any concern regarding guardianship for us having these type of conversations? I want to make sure that we're sensitive to that. And
Yes, and that's another area in which it's different in every state. And so the Secretary of State, they have a website that will talk about the laws in your state.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, and then in relation to your other question about advocacy in general, Rochelle, you know how to reach me. And certainly, you already reached out to your DD council. Those are great first starts in terms of seeking help with your advocacy group. We're happy to do that.
Yes, we want to invite you, actually. It's coming.
Okay, great.
Just so you know, it's coming.
And I see a hand up with Eric Brown. Did I say your name right? I'm sorry.
It was put into the chat about, is it the same
Yes,
question
yes,
or do you
ma'am.
have another one, Eric?
It's Grech. Yeah, I sent a question. What happened if your driver license expire before election day to vote?
Yeah, it's really recommended that you get that taken care of before you go, especially depending on, of course, what state you're in, but you want to make sure that whether if you even can go with a expired identification, but you probably will want to reach out to your Department of Motor Vehicles or whomever issued your identification to ensure that it is not expired. As
And
we
then-
noted, every state is changing some of their rules around voter IDs and what people need to bring. So you probably want to get that process going. I know you can do it online. I just renewed my driver's license because I had to get the real ID for anyone that travels. That's coming up in the United States. Make sure you update that. And it should be really quick to do online, but everyone is different.
And like I said, in Maryland, I don't even need to bring my driver's license. So first thing is to check with your state and to find out what ID is required or not required. Denise?
Yes.
Thanks. And Rochelle, thank you for that question. Our experience has been that because of the toxicity around elections these days, and that's a very unfortunate thing, the whole topic is not easy to get into. And so we felt that by introducing these films and something that would be engaging and if it's okay, I'm going to share my screen again. So on our site, you're going to see dozens of films. They range from 20 seconds to 2 minutes and 3 minutes, as you saw. They're compilation films. So based on what message you want, and they don't all mention Arizona. There are some really good films. Barry Goldwater. I mean, we have Republicans, Democrats, Independents. This one is stellar. It's all of 75 seconds. Richard Stengel, and it's for us. It was the idea that how do we get into the topic in an engaging way? So having a sticker, having a film, getting them engaged, and then feeding them more information. Because we know ballots today, when we think about getting that right in the middle, they're confusing for everybody, in terms of, or most everybody, in terms of really understanding how some of those propositions are worded and what they really mean. So Rochelle, we're happy to, once you go through the site, to share more if you'd like.
And I also just put in the chat, there's a group that recently, I guess after 2020 was founded, called Vote Writers, and they will work with anyone to help understand the voter ID laws in your state.
Oh, cool.
And they're a fantastic group. They have really connected with the disability community. I know the woman, her name is Selena Gomez, and that's why I can never forget her, because what kind of amazing name is that? But she has come and she's talked to the National Coalition on Accessible Voting. We've had her speak at the National Association of Councils on Developmental Disabilities conference to really talk about there are resources out there that will really help you within the state. They are based in Texas, but they have satellite offices throughout, especially in some of those maybe more challenging states to vote in. So I would check them out as well if you're not quite sure what that voter ID law is, but they're a great resource.
I'm checking to see if anybody else has a hand up. I don't see any others. Does anybody else on the panel have any final words of wisdom?
You know, Kim, we started with a video. Could I ask for 75 seconds to share that
Yes.
one
Oh,
angle?
absolutely.
It's stellar and it's one of my favorites. So bear with
Absolutely.
me if that's okay.
Okay, we're
If
gonna
I
do
can just get it.
one more video and then we'll close it out.
Okay,
Sounds great.
thank you. Okay, you can all see my other music too there. Everybody see my screen there? Here we go. 75 seconds.
To form a more perfect union, we must continually expand the circle of liberty. When those words were written in 1787, they were something extraordinary. The men who gathered in Philadelphia in 1787 did something that was radical. After centuries of human beings being ruled by despots and monarchs and kings and queens, they decided, you know what? We can rule ourselves. That was amazing. That had never happened before. But in their definition of we the people, they didn't include everyone. They didn't include women. They didn't include people of color who were considered 3/5 of a human being. They didn't include people with disabilities. But the American story since then has been to continually expand that definition of we the people. Martin Luther King said the Constitution was a promissory note, and that promissory note was designed to include everyone. That has been the slow and painful and sometimes difficult story since then. And we must continue to do that to make we the people include everyone.
That's a wonderful message. Very strong. I love the history too. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, Robin, do you see anybody else? Then I'd like to thank our panel. We really appreciate all the time all the presenters gave to us today. And I'd like to thank our partner at the National Association of Developmental Disabilities Councils. We enjoy working with you on these advocacy workshop series. And this will be recorded, and feel free to share this far and wide. Once it's recorded, we'll send out the recording and the links to everybody who registered. And thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank